Hey, happy Friday. I think it's still maybe coming on a little bit here, and I'm waiting for Pamela to pop in. It's nice to be back. Had a couple weeks there. We had Halloween, and then I was away teaching, which was just last week. I've been playing catch up, but it was a wonderful course, full course in San Diego. We had 24 new therapists leave that class, and some of them are gonna now be in the group with us, which is so wonderful. So you might see some new faces popping in. So yeah, that's wonderful. And today we're gonna be talking about multiple gestations and supporting mothers who are carrying more than one baby. Yeah, and they really do deserve some special consideration. It's a unique journey, and it really asks a lot of the body and of the heart and mind and all of that. So I'm just excited to chat a little bit more about that, because I really do feel like we can, as massage therapists, again, just bring our tool set, our listening and compassionate ear, and of course our hands and our skills to really serve them during the pregnancy to make it more comfortable, and then also in the recovery process as well, because not only are they recovering from more compromise, I would say, to like their abdominal tissues of having to stretch further to accommodate 2 or maybe 3 babies, but then they also have the extra strain of childcare, of caring for more than one newborn, which is a lot. So yeah, we're going to talk about what's going on physiologically with our pregnant clients. Positioning wise, there's some considerations as well. We can talk about some of the needs massage wise during pregnancy, and then a lot of the care that we can think about for supporting abdominal structures in postpartum, and again after that with supporting the strains of newborn care, which are going to be more than with a singleton. So I'm just going to peek here. I haven't seen Pamela pop up yet, but I knew that she told me she was, I think, ready or close to being ready. So I'm always like trying to juggle how much I want to, start taking off until she really gets here. And she always has, such wonderful things to add. So I think we get the most when we're both discussing what we've seen and what it can be like. But maybe I'll just start by kind of laying some foundations until she comes on. I believe it's 1 in 80 pregnancies will be twins, and those are usually like natural conception rates. We might see a slight increase in that with the frequency of IVF, where they're implanting more than one embryo. Oh, here she is. Okay. Pamela, sorry. Let me know if you got that invite, or if you, let me see. Yeah, it's only allowing me to invite you right now. Oh, wait. Hey. Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. I'm good. Oop, moving over.
I feel like it's like long time no see, just even like a couple weeks of.
I know. A lot's happened in a couple weeks.
I know. I know. Yeah, I was just chatting a little bit about, the class and how it was, already a week ago, which is crazy. And there's 24 more new pre and perinatal massage therapists out in the world, which is exciting. And
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, and I guess I haven't even said it on here yet, but I did announce it. But I'm pregnant, so yeah, I'm
That's so
pregnant.
exciting. Congratulations. I'm
Thank
so excited
you.
for you guys. I'm glad that you made a formal announcement, because I might have known, and I was very excited about that.
Well, it's so
So
funny because I'm like baby number 3. It just feels so much more like settled, I guess, in like my nervous system. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess like there's a point where I'm like, I need to like celebrate it and like tell the world. So
Yeah.
yeah, that time has come and it is exciting. And all the well wishes are so sweet. So I really
Mhm.
appreciate them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you have that beautiful mama glow. I saw you and I was like, oh, she looks so pretty.
Thank you.
Yes. How many weeks are you?
I'm 12 weeks. 12 and
Okay.
some change now. Yeah.
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 Exciting.
I'm feeling
Great.
really good. Honestly, like
Great.
my first pregnancy was super easy. My second pregnancy was like relatively easy, but I had some like touch and go nausea from like week 7 to 11, and I really
Mm.
only had like a little bit of nausea from like weeks 7 and 8. It was like pretty much from like week 9 on, I've been just cruising. I'm sort of like, this is cool. This is great. So,
Nice.
especially like teaching the class,
I
and
was,
and having that big of a group, I'm like, I really wanted to show up, and
yeah.
feel well and keep my energy up, and it was great. I was very happy with how it all went.
Great. Yeah, I was thinking about you, wondering how you were doing energy-wise and feeling, and that's a lot to manage. The Austin class was 24. It's a big group.
Yeah, it's a big group.
Yeah.
I did have Marjan though.
I saw that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, Marjan is Carol's like longtime TA, like 20 plus years. She could easily be teaching this class, and so it was really like
Mhm.
having two instructors.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, not only does she know the material itself so well, but she also just knows the flow of the classroom, everything, the admin that has to go on behind the scenes. So if I needed anything, like she was just a wonderful person to lean on. And yeah, it was great. I was definitely tired by the end of the day for sure. And I had,
Yeah.
I had to do like less review for the next day than I, have done in past years, because I just really needed to prioritize like nourishment and rest, and that's just
Mhm.
how it needed to look this time. But it went well.
That's awesome. I'm so glad.
Oh,
Great.
thank you.
Yeah. Very
Yeah, so you'll see
exciting.
some new faces in the group, because there's quite a few people from the class who started to come into the collective. So yeah,
That's great.
yeah, you'll see them. Yeah, it was great. And then
Mhm.
I just, I started to just barely lay some foundations for multiples and what we might be talking about today. But I'm, yeah, so glad that you're here, because I know you have
Nice.
great insight and experience with working with these special clients. So
Yeah.
yeah, the only thing that I had really started to say was that, we want to maybe touch on not only their needs during pregnancy, but also like the needs for like supporting their abdomen and postpartum, because they're going to have like an
Mhm.
extra stretch. And then
Mhm.
also like the strains of childcare are going to be more than just caring for a singleton, which is already pretty significant. So just lots of places that we
Yep.
can show up for these
Mhm.
clients. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. This is a population near and dear to my heart because I have twin nieces that were home births at my house,
Amazing.
and I have triplet nephews, and they are seniors in high school this year. So and I've dualed for several sets of multiples. So I love multiples. It's a fun time. There can be a lot of extra risks sometimes for these mamas and their families.
Yeah.
And then there's some things that we need to consider on our end as body workers, right? So
100%. Yeah. And the only other
mhm.
thing that I had mentioned before you came on was that I was just kind of saying that, traditionally the frequency of twins is like 1 in 80 pregnancies. And that might
Yeah.
actually be on the rise. And I don't actually have the statistics around it, but I'm just curious, like with IVF, right? People who might not
Mm,
otherwise be having twins, when you implant or, attempt to implant more than one embryo, sometimes more
mhm.
than one stick. So we might be seeing more of those. And then when we're talking about like the risks for twins, the risks for twins conceived via in vitro might even be higher for certain things. So yeah, just some
Yeah.
considerations of like what we might be seeing as, um, the frequency of these conceptions using these technologies, increases more and more.
And yeah, more people are using IVF to get to their pregnancies, right? So that's on the rise too. So yeah, it's pretty likely that you'll have somebody along the way with multiples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess, if you want to start like with massage, right? I'm thinking about like, let's go chronologically, like somebody walks in your door, like I'm pregnant with twins, and like one of the first things that I'm going to think is that we, in terms of like positioning and safety, we're going to treat a mom of multiples as if she's one trimester ahead of what a singleton mom would be, right?
Yeah. hmm Yeah. So, yes. So right away, like I'm not putting any, multiple mama on her belly or on her back at all she's going to go right in the side lying right away. And being mindful of that wedge, you mentioned this with extra support, but also in pregnancy, that belly needs to be really well supported on the table. So whatever positioning, bolstering you're using, making sure that you slide your hand under the sheet and see where her belly is, and if it has some support underneath it or if it's just hanging, and then adding a rolled towel or a wedge to make sure she's super comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes even when I have clients whose bellies are fully on the pillow, sometimes even the wedge, underneath the torso pillow can just add even more support because that's just going to take that
Mhm.
ceiling side broad ligament and give it some more support so it's not, hanging
Yeah.
down towards the table quite as much. So,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because she potentially has, so if we think through it a little bit, she has the weight of possibly a second placenta.
correct. Yeah.
Right. We don't know. I mean, she may know, but in the beginning, she may not know.
Yeah.
Um, so a second placenta, amniotic fluid, a second baby, and extra relaxin in her body. Like she's really producing she's going to be extra soft. And so that's a lot of weight pulling her belly forward and pulling on her low back
Yeah.
structures. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so side lying is great. Semi-reclining can also work for our mamas
Yeah.
who have multiples. I don't know if you've had this happen before, but I've definitely had very petite clients pregnant with multiples where side lying just couldn't work, where there was just
Yes.
always an elbow or a baby's head or a butt or something. Pretty rare that I can't get somebody, comfortably set and side
Mhm.
lying. But there have been a handful where, especially, I'm just thinking like my really petite clients with
Yeah.
multiple babies, where we did a lot of work in semi-reclining and we really made it work, and I like tucked
Yeah.
pillows up high under each armpit so she just really felt like she was floating, really good back support. The hardest part for me is the therapist was doing back work because you kind of have to slide your hand right between the
Yes.
the tilt and the table and the client, but I could do a lot of work and like hook into paravertebrals, do work through the rhomboids, and I mean she loved it, right? And sometimes we have to prioritize, safety, of course, but also client comfort and preference. And, I could still use my body wisely, right? To kind of like hook and lean into my back
Mhm.
leg and just like sink my body weight back. So it wasn't super hard on me. I couldn't do as much, right, back work as I could if
Mhm.
someone was in sideline, but it worked. So
Yeah.
adaptation is really important sometimes with these clients.
Yeah, just like we have to have a little bag of tricks with our babies, our kiddos when they're toddlers and stuff, like keeping them occupied. We do the same bag of tricks with our clients, right? I have had a similar situation where I had a mama who her twins were transverse,
Mm,
and she could not get comfortable in side lying.
that
And
makes sense.
did the same exact thing, semi-reclined, all the back work from semi-reclined.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that will happen. Sometimes you'll have a baby, even with a singleton, you could have a baby that's in transverse and they're having a hard time getting comfortable.
Yeah, transverse is not going to be a comfortable position. And for anybody who's not familiar, transverse means that the baby is sitting horizontally in the abdomen.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
versus like some version of vertical, whether that's, head down or feet down. That's generally the norm. But yeah, you can have transverse babies just hanging out
Yep,
horizontally there.
for sure. Yeah. So, um, yeah, so positioning considerations. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in terms of, what some of our clients with multiples might be presenting with, like you were already talking about, like more relaxin, more weight, more fluid. So just more strain on all of the same structures that would be strained in a single pregnancy, more fluid. So she might have like more edema, more need to kind of help support circulation. Yeah.
Yeah, you can probably bet that her respiration is going to be taxed a lot more as well. So she'll be
Yeah.
having a harder time staying up with her breath. And um, what else was I going to say about that? Oh, I was thinking about just the extra volume of fluid in her body. So her kidneys are working harder. Her heart is working a lot harder. So she's
Yeah.
going to be tired and yeah, out of breath quickly.
Yeah, and I was thinking about, if there's even more than two babies, that's
Mhm.
a lot more even on those systems. And usually those clients are on at least some sort of bed rest, like some sort of modified bed rest where they're being asked to take it easy at least some hours of the day. Was that true for was it your
Yeah.
sister-in-law?
It
Yeah.
was my sister-in-law, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so both sister-in-laws. So one, so the one that had carried triplets is, petite, 5'2", barely 5'3", yeah.
Wow.
And went to 37 weeks. And then my
Amazing.
sister-in-law, yes, amazing. And was on a modified bed rest.
Yeah.
I remember massaging her in bed, and just making
Yeah.
it work.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling very like disheartened after that massage, like that wasn't a very good massage, but I think at that point, whatever body
Whatever
work they
touch she could get. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, and just like trying. So the other thing is there's a stress factor for these mamas. Just trying to keep their babies in, right? Like going as long as they can with these pregnancies.
37
Um,
weeks with triplets is amazing. That's great.
Amazing. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they were all a good size. They were like I think they were all like five something each, which
Amazing.
is
Yeah.
right. Yeah. And so her sister had twins, and those babies were like 5.5 and 6.5 pounds or something. Like
Mhm.
they were big, and they went to 38 weeks.
Mhm.
So yeah, so you can expect that twins will deliver like 2 weeks early, and triplets would definitely deliver like 3+ weeks early.
Yeah. And
And
usually the
this,
body is designed to help those babies
mm,
like mature faster, knowing that it's a lot to ask the body to carry them for much longer. Um,
yeah.
I also was curious about some of the laws because I just wanted to mention, like in California, I started doing um, birth work in 2010, and at that time, midwives were still doing breech birth at home. They were still doing twin births at home, and I remember, having several what I would call magnificent full-term twin mamas coming in, like that went to 40 weeks. Some, I think we've had a couple that even went to 41, which is like,
Mhm.
it's just amazing. And then,
Yeah.
literally having, a 7.5 pound and an 8 pound baby,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
um, and we don't see that as much anymore because the political climate has changed, the rules have changed. And so, you know, many of our clients are also dealing with navigating that system. So if they had wanted or
Mhm.
planned on a home birth, at least in California, sometimes those dreams are snatched away. Sometimes it can be very hard to find someone to support you in that way. C-section is, really presented as the like default, for any variation of normal for breech or for twins. And some mamas can pivot just fine with that, and others is going to be much harder.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Definitely similar here. It's rare to find a OB who will deliver, you know, who's willing to deliver twins or try, without talking about cesarean birth. I've had it happen. So Margaret says, slightly unrelated, but I keep forgetting to ask. Uh-oh. Keep forgetting to ask. I had a client who said her baby was moving around so much at night that she wasn't able to sleep. Are there techniques that I could use to help her, or any position she could try at home when she's having trouble sleeping, or maybe foods to eat or not eat?
For a baby that's keeping you awake. I mean, I feel like I'm coming at this like more like anecdotally than from like well researched stuff in the back of my mind. But I mean, I've had, I've tried this and I know lots of clients who will just like kind of talk to their baby or like jiggle their baby during the hours that they're awake and kind of engage with their baby to like kind of teach them like this is the wake sleep cycle. I think also potentially like getting your belly into the sun during the day to kind of let the baby know like the light is coming in, this is the time that we're supposed to be awake versus the time that we're supposed to be asleep. Some of that can help. There's certain, I think there's probably some limits to that. But I think that those couple of things can help where you just sort of let the baby know like we're engaging, during these hours. And
Yeah.
I do think the sun and the light can really help them um, perceive the difference, yeah, of day and night.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good tips for sure. I was also thinking that since Margaret asked about food, to make sure she's not having caffeine or chocolate or something
Oh
later in the
gosh, yeah,
day,
good point.
right? Like, or, having a dessert at night after dinner, maybe like cut those things out so that you're not having the sugar,
Yeah,
or having.
and on that note too, this is there's a lot of people who are taking things like encapsulated beef liver, during their pregnancies, which
Right.
can offer like a ton of extra minerals and vitamins. I think it's great. But if you start taking those things after 4 p.m., they can be very energizing as well. So just sometimes
Yeah.
also like thinking about like what supplements are you taking and at what time might also be
For
affecting
sure.
bathing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing that came to mind was like, if just like, my husband sometimes will wake up at night and I'm like, well, don't get up and go do something. Like, do something to try and put yourself back to sleep. Right? So if baby's active in the middle of the night, like, to do some deep breathing, maybe do some calming music, talk soothingly to baby, like go try to go back to sleep, try to calm baby, not just get up
Yeah.
and be if you're flustered, it would be hard, but you don't want to like get up and start being super active, I don't think. So
Yeah, then they're like, it's playtime.
it's playtime,
Um,
right?
I also wonder too about like magnesium cream sometimes on the bottom of your feet or in your
Yeah.
calves. It can be very relaxing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think those are good suggestions. Thanks for your
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, that's a great
Um,
question.
mhm.
Gosh, the time is flying. We should probably chat a little bit about postpartum and newborn strain.
Mhm.
Anything
Sure.
else? Okay, I feel like those are like the main things just to keep it focused on massage. Um, but like we talked about just the strain to all of the structures right in the abdomen, even during a singleton pregnancy, and that's obviously going to be um, more severe with a mom of multiples, so there might be like more laxity in the tissues. There might also be more trigger points in,
Mm.
the rectus abdominis, especially like closer to the xiphoid process and potentially all the way down to the pubic bone.
Mhm.
We have to think about also the state of her psoas, iliopsoas, like how offline did it get during the pregnancy, and can we start to help it like come back online to support her structurally,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm thinking about her pelvic floor as well, which we don't directly impact, but you can do a lot to support the surrounding structures to help the pelvic floor, right? If you think about that canister of the transverse abdominis and the diaphragm and the pelvic floor being one,
Yeah.
yeah, unit. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and also just to like really understand that even if she delivered by cesarean, that just the weight of the babies and the fluid and the placenta on the pelvic floor can strain it just, from the pregnancy itself.
right, absolutely. Yes, and if she's had a cesarean birth, we need to think about, keeping her inside line for body work, postpartum. right? And and still making sure she's really well bolstered, that you're doing, good structural work on her for her sacrum. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I was going to also just mention, that shift in gravity can feel so profound even
Mhm.
for a singleton, right? Because it's like pregnancy is progressive, slowly your center of gravity is changing, and then when the babies are outside of your body, it can feel like a huge shift. And I don't know if you've seen this with your clients, but I feel like there's an even um, greater emotional component to that for my twin moms because it's such a stark contrast, right? To have these babies now
Mhm.
outside of your body, that it can feel really emotional,
Yeah.
and so we would just want to, be holding space for those hormonal shifts, for, the emotions that can come along with it, and knowing that structurally, there's like a big recalibration that's going on in postpartum.
Yeah, and there is a thing that happens, that there can be a twin-to-twin transfusion where one baby is significantly larger than the other. That happens. I don't know what the percentage is,
Mhm.
but it's possible that one of those babies might need to be, in the NICU, or there might be some other things happening with, physically with the babies that mom may be navigating as well, right? Or, you
Yeah.
know. Um, so that's always something to take into consideration.
Yeah, and I was gonna say like NICU stays are really significant in
Mhm.
impacting like what at least the immediate postpartum recovery looks like because she's gonna put herself second,
Yeah.
right? Like everything's
Mhm.
gonna be about going to visit those babies when we ideally would be like, no, please like stay at home and rest and 5 days on the bed, 5 days around the
Right.
bed, right? All of that.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like when your babies need you and they're in the hospital, like all of that kind of goes out the window, at least for the time frame that they're in the hospital. It doesn't mean that like you can't sort of make that time up or get that rest later, but um understandably like the priority is on like are my babies going to be okay and wanting to see them, and so yeah, that's
Yeah.
significant. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of things can, happen along the way with any baby, but more so even with multiples. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. And then I guess, lastly, just to touch on the fact that the amount of newborn care and newborn strain is going to
yeah,
be like double, right? Which is already
it is.
significant.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about breastfeeding postpartum with multiples. So,
Yeah.
um, the chest takes quite an impact, right? Of like just the weight of the breasts, and then the milk comes in, and she's going to be navigating all that. And then if she is breastfeeding multiples, it is an around the clock ordeal. So if you can help her, depending on what your role is, the capacity you have with her, right? Like just making sure that she has literally a gallon of water next to the nursing station, or making sure when she comes in the office that you offer her water right away at the end of the session. Make sure you're giving her. She probably has a big cup with her, but those moms need to stay really well hydrated. And then I always keep some towels, like so putting a towel over between the sheet and the bolsters because she may be leaking some breast milk, um, and you want her to feel
And
comfortable.
yeah, and I was going to say, and those small things, as small as they seem maybe to us, those can be reasons that women don't seek care because they're like
Right.
either like they're
Yes.
embarrassed or they're like they can't control that, and so you just really want to like normalize that and just like let her know ahead of time like this is already taken care of, right?
Yeah.
I use like the organic cloth diaper inserts because they're super absorbent. We just throw a
Mm.
couple of those down underneath the sheet, and that they work really well
Perfect.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually had, I don't know, I guess this is a good time to talk about this. I had a mama last week who is at the end of her pregnancy, and she came out and she's like, I think I peed a little bit. So,
Hmm.
I mean, I was like, I didn't blink. I was like, not a problem. Everything gets
Yeah.
wiped down anyway, but it was like, okay, like
Yeah.
things happen.
Yeah. Whenever I've taught induction massage to my staff, not that we teach it in the class, but we offer it at Sparrow's Nest just, we talked about this, just because of the climate and all the pressure on all these moms. I wish we didn't even need it at all.
Right.
But as I'm teaching it, I'm always like, in 14 years we've been doing this, no one's water has ever broke. And then last year it actually happened.
Oh,
So
wow. Yeah.
water's released on the table, and yeah. And we have like the medical grade vinyl covers, and so everything underneath that stayed dry. It was amazing. Like all of the table warmers, all the fleece stuff was like completely
Yeah.
dry. The sheets absorbed it. It was a good break, but it wasn't like a complete break. So it didn't
Yeah.
actually even get on the floor. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes there are curveballs that can happen, and
Yes.
yeah, and you just really want to normalize it. And we just, we kept the priority on like, let's keep you calm, um,
Yeah.
let's just make sure like you're feeling good. I wasn't sure if she might want to ride home. She actually ended up driving because she wasn't far and she felt fine. And there were no immediate contractions, which, in the movies,
Right.
that's what always happens, right? It's like the big dramatic water breaks and then bam, it kicks in.
Here
And
comes the baby.
right. And I was going to say, in real life, like when water breaks, yeah, like that's definitely like a sign that things will be happening soon, but sometimes it's literally hours away.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, so this is a good reminder to have your pillows in like a, waterproof pillowcase, right? Or
Yeah.
your everything should be, easily wiped down. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then,
Mhm.
that's also a reason to also have gloves in your office, like if you need to like
Yes.
clean up sheets, wiping things down, spraying with hydrogen peroxide or whatever you use in your office. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. I just moved a box of gloves yesterday. I was like, I don't need three of these right now. So
Right. We also, I was going to say too, like we also ordered Chuck's pads just for our
uh,
office, have them on hand for that reason too.
yeah, those are
Because like,
awesome to have around.
yeah, because like worst case scenario, you can give them to your clients and they can lay a couple of those down on their car seat and they can get home
For
comfortably while
sure.
she's driving or someone's coming to get her or whatever.
Yeah.
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 So, and then I guess the only other thing to just circle back to like childcare is that like her neck and her shoulders are probably going to be wrecked. Her wrists,
Yeah.
thumb joints in early postpartum can get so strained. And so just seeing, if you can show clients like not to have baby, like hold baby like this, where they're really sitting on the
Mhm.
weight of the thumb joints, but like thinking about scooping the baby under the pelvis, scooping baby under the head, and then holding baby close to your center of gravity will really save your thumb joints and your wrists. So those are things to mention, I think, especially to the multiples mamas, because they're doing it probably twice as often.
Yeah.
There's also that little stretch for the thumb joint for the de Quervain syndrome. If you bring your thumb in, fold your fingers,
Hmm.
and then have them, I'm like, can I back up even more? And then just have them flex through here. Like this feels really like nothing much to me, but man, I
For
did that
somebody, yeah.
in early postpartum. It burns. Like it's such a good
Mhm.
stretch in there. Like, cause it's so overused in there.
Yeah.
So, all the massage work we can do, but also just these little tips can be helpful.
Yeah, that's a great one because carpal tunnel, postpartum carpal tunnel is very real. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
women will get it during pregnancy, but a lot of times it doesn't show up until after, right? And
Yeah.
it's like that picking up the baby or holding the way you're holding baby. And it's a good reminder to have that to make sure that they're getting their knees up. So they might need a little stool underneath their feet to get
I
baby
see that
lifted
all the time.
to bring baby to them and not be leaning over because that, yeah,
Yeah.
positioning is really important. Hmm.
Yeah, I can't tell you like how many times like I'll go in to do a house call and mom's like, I'm just finishing up feeding, which is, great and fine, but then you see them and like they're up on their toes,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
that kills after a while,
Well,
because again, like these aren't things that they're just doing occasionally. Like they're doing it day in and day out, hour after hour, and it adds up.
yeah. I mean, just that little bit of not bringing baby to you and like leaning like towards them can be enough strain on your nipple to cause major problems with the latch and the breastfeeding too. So, totally
Yeah.
another subject, but just
No,
really
but that's
like,
huge too. Yeah.
yeah,
Because those are simple
positioning.
things that like even by default, like, right, even if you're not a lactation consultant or anything like that, if you can just help them just with, general
Yeah,
alignment, or like instead of trying to hold their elbows up to hold the baby, just like putting
put a
pillows,
pillow
like
under there.
reminding
Yeah.
reminding partner, like, hey, when you see her doing this, make sure, like you get stuff under her elbows for her. Like those are things that
Mhm.
likely will have, trickle down effects.
And you'll probably see mamas breastfeed in your office. I mean, it's likely that she'll either show up and someone will take baby away, or someone will bring baby at the end of an appointment, and she
Yeah.
may be nursing. So you can just make little, yeah, little adjustments if you can.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. But it really is an honor and a joy to, I
Yeah.
mean, I think feel like work with this population in general, but I do think that these moms of multiples are really, heroic in so many ways. And
Oh my gosh. Yes. So many ways for sure. I have a quick question. I don't know. I know we're over on time, but I'm wondering, do you guys do anything for clients after they've had their baby? Do you send a little greeting or no?
we
I know
usually,
it's touchy.
I know, like we usually are just sending messages to clients. Um, and yeah, that's usually all we're doing right
Okay.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Do you do anything right now when,
I don't right now, and I've
yeah,
been thinking about it, but
yeah.
um our doula business is really picking up. So mhm.
Great. It's exciting. Yeah, so no, we're always just like messaging and checking in and
Nice.
sending celebratory texts, but like right now that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know. I mean, multiples is fun. So if someone's working with multiples now, or you have questions about it, make sure you put it into the group and see what we can brainstorm together.
Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely love to hear from anyone who's currently working with or has worked with, or even like your fears of working with, right? Because sometimes if you
Right.
can quell those fears ahead of time, then you're just like all the more prepared when they walk through
Mm-hmm.
your door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't touch on this is, I mean, I know we need to wrap up, but we didn't touch on like someone who's on bed rest with multiples. Like going the house call episode we did would be a great one to touch back on that for. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think the house call one would be great. Bed rest one would be great. Yeah, because there's going to be a higher likelihood of that. Like some of the, um, when I was talking about the clients who were like the most highly monitored, like are on the highest version of bed rest, like in the hospital with 24/7 monitoring, all
Yeah.
of the clients that I've had in those situations were moms of multiples.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
not to say that all multiple pregnancies, can go there, but of the ones that were the most serious that I've personally worked with, they were all multiples.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad you
Yeah.
mentioned that because it's another great resource. So, oh, and I was going to say
Mhm.
too, like, even though Facebook erases these videos after 30 days, I've been putting them on YouTube, at least some of them. I don't think I have like the whole group of them, but I believe
Mhm.
the bed rest one is on there. So if it's not, because I think it's probably been over a month now since we did that one.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So I can also put like, maybe I can like pin a link to that. That way that there's a place to find the old ones since we can't keep them
Okay.
on this platform.
Yeah, that would be great, I think.
Great.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, it's always so great to see
Yeah.
you and chat with you.
Thanks, you too, Sparrow. It's great to see you. Congratulations again on your class and your pregnancy.
Oh, thank
Very
you.
excited to follow along with you. And yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, we're all
Yes.
excited. Awesome. Well, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope everybody has a great
Thanks.
weekend.
Yep. All right, everyone, take care.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.